In the plains of Laconia, in the heart of the Peloponnese, flourished one of the most feared, admired, and studied civilizations of the ancient world. Sparta, known for its unbeatable army, strict military code, and unwavering austerity. This Greek city-state hides within its history a surprising and often overlooked aspect: the extraordinary role of women. In an ancient world where most women lived confined to their homes, invisible and silenced, Spartan women stood out as figures of strength, respect, and autonomy. To truly understand the impact of these women, we must break through the myths and dive deep into the foundations of Spartan society, where the rules of the game were unlike anywhere else in Greece. In Athens, for example, women were under male guardianship throughout their lives, excluded from politics, education, and public life. In Sparta, however, women received formal education, engaged in outdoor sports, participated in discussions, and managed family properties. They not only had a voice, but they had authority. While Spartan men lived in military barracks from the age of 7 until nearly 60, wholly devoted to warfare, it was the women who bore the responsibility of sustaining the economy, managing land, and upholding Spartan values at home. This role reversal made Spartan women guardians of the city, not with swords, but with words, posture, and presence. From a young age, Spartan girls underwent a kind of education that would shock any other Greek city-state. They were taught to read, write, sing, and dance, but above all, to cultivate their bodies and minds with the same intensity as boys. Running, discus throwing, wrestling, and even using weapons were part of their training. Not because they would go to war, but because Spartans firmly believed that strong mothers produce strong sons. The famous phrase attributed to Spartan mothers, "Return with your shield or on it," this wasn't just a call for their sons' bravery. It reflected a society where courage, honor, and discipline were virtues shared by both genders. The freedom Spartan women enjoyed was also visible in their appearance and behavior. While women elsewhere in Greece covered themselves from head to toe and remained indoors, Spartan women wore short tunics and moved freely in public spaces. Their athletic bodies weren't a source of shame. They were a symbol of health and fertility, celebrated as part of their civic duty. It wasn't uncommon for Spartan women to mock cowardly men or defeated rivals. They were outspoken, confident, and knew how to assert themselves. Naturally, this shocked and even repulsed other Greeks who saw Spartan women as bold and unruly. But in Sparta, they were essential, not just as mothers, but as vital cogs in the societal machine. Another revolutionary aspect of the Spartan woman was her role in inheritance and property ownership. Because men were often away or died in battle, women inherited land, slaves, and wealth. And they didn't just hold these assets. Many multiplied them. This made them, in some cases, one of the wealthiest female classes in ancient Greece. By the end of the classical period, it is estimated that about 40% of Spartan land was owned by women, something unthinkable in any other part of the ancient world. This economic autonomy gave them real power, not just symbolic presence. They made decisions, influenced marriages, policies, and even laws, through their role within the family and the community. And what about marriage in Sparta? As different as everything else? Marriages were arranged, yes, but they included a peculiar ritual. The groom would abduct the bride symbolically, cutting her hair short and dressing her in men's clothing before consummating the union. Strange to our eyes, perhaps, but it indicated something important: a transition to a powerful role as the warrior's companion. Most importantly, marriage did not mark the end of a woman's autonomy. Instead, it marked a new phase where she continued managing property, raising children, and protecting Spartan values while her husband was away at war. It's important to note that even with all this relative freedom, Spartan women were still bound to the society's core objective: producing and raising perfect warriors. The female body was seen almost as a state asset, and motherhood was the highest form of contribution to the city. Not having children or bearing weak ones brought shame. Even so, within this rigid structure, Spartan women carved out a space for power, influence, and respect. It's no surprise that even Plato praised Sparta's female education system, calling it a model of physical and intellectual equality between the sexes, something unimaginable in patriarchal Athens. the strength of Spartan women extended far beyond the city walls. When an Athenian ambassador once asked Queen Gorgo, the wife of King Leonidas, why only Spartan women ruled their men, she replied with a line that would echo through history, because we are the only ones who give birth to men. This wasn't arrogance, it was conviction, a conviction that shaped the entire structure of Spartan society. Gorgo, by the way, was more than just a queen. She was an advisor, a politician, and a powerful figure. She's believed to have participated in military and diplomatic decisions, something no other Greek woman would dare to suggest. When Leonidas marched to Thermopylae with his 300 warriors, he didn't just leave behind a legacy of heroic sacrifice. He left behind a city governed, sustained, and defended by women like Gorgo. They upheld traditions, raised children, defended the household, and kept Sparta's spirit alive. In a way, they were the invisible pillars of the most feared military state of ancient Greece. Without them, Sparta could not have survived. Their discipline, silent courage, and firm presence were the cement that held together its bronze-clad warriors. Over time, however, the Spartan model began to collapse. Concentrated wealth, declining birth rates, and military defeats eroded the city's strength. Yet the role of women remained one of the last strongholds of Spartan identity. Until the end, they were respected, heard, and considered essential members of the political and social body. Looking back, we realize that Sparta, though marked by war and rigidity, offered the ancient world one of its most powerful and enigmatic female figures, the strong, educated, free woman, essential to her city's very survival. Today, when we speak of feminism, gender equality, and empowerment, we often look to the future. But maybe we should also look back to Sparta and remember that even in a brutal and unequal world, there was once a place where women stood tall, looked men in the eye, and claimed their space with strength. Spartan women didn't ask for permission. They simply took what was theirs by right, the dignity of being complete human beings, capable of teaching, leading, and transforming. So now I ask you, if even in rigid militaristic Sparta, women were able to earn respect, autonomy, and power, why are so many still silenced, underestimated, or erased today? Maybe it's time to revive the spirit of the Spartan woman, not with war, but with action, education, and courage. Because strength, my friend, isn't just in muscles. It's in the mind, the voice, and the will to change things. If this story inspired you, share this video with someone who needs to know the true power of Spartan women. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more epic stories like this, and leave a comment below, with the shield or on it. If you do believe that courage and dignity have no gender, see you in the next video.